At the climax of Edge of Tomorrow, William Cage drops a belt of grenades into the alien Omega. He dies submerged in its liquid, then wakes up hours earlier in a world where the invasion has already collapsed. For many viewers, this resolution breaks the movie. If the aliens can control time, Cage winning the war feels like a contradiction of the very rules we spent 2 hours learning. The Omega exists to preserve itself. If it died, it should have reset the day to save its own life. Instead, the mimics stay dead, and Cage gets a happy ending. This shift feels jarring compared to the rest of the film. We spent the entire story watching Cage fail and die in a dark, grounded sci-fi world, only to finish with a victory that seems to ignore its own internal logic. However, the ending is a direct result of the zero-sum mechanics established in the first act. These final moments are the consequence of a biological rule. He doesn't just get a second chance. He forces the timeline into a state the aliens can no longer control. The mimics function as a single biological network. The Omega is the brain. Alphas are its physical extensions. When an alpha dies, the Omega detects the loss and triggers a reset. Crucially, this power is exclusive. Only one entity can hold it at a time. Cage gains this ability in Act 1 through direct blood contact. At the exact second an alpha dies, its blood mixes with his. This physical connection transfers the power from the Omega to Cage. At that moment, Cage becomes the new master of the clock. He is the only entity in the network capable of triggering a reset. We see the aliens acknowledge this shift halfway through the movie. During the sequence at the dam, the swarm stops trying to kill Cage. They surround him, but instead of striking, they attempt to wound him. They are specifically trying to bleed him out without dealing a fatal blow. Their strategy is based on the rules of the transfer. If Cage dies, time resets. But if they drain his blood while he's still alive, the power has no medium to transfer with, allowing the Omega to reclaim it. By the time Cage reaches Paris for the final assault, the enemy has already succeeded. A hospital blood transfusion replaces the alien blood in his system, leaving him as a normal soldier. The dam ambush is the evidence we need. It proves the mimics built their entire military strategy around preventing another blood transfer, because they know the power only has room for one owner. In the final battle, Cage falls into the Omega's blood pool. As it detonates, he is physically submerged in the source of the power at the exact moment the Omega dies. This repeats the transfer from Act 1, but at the top of the hierarchy. Cage absorbs the ability directly from the dying brain of the species. This creates the central question. As Cage now has the power to reset, why doesn't the world reset back to a point where the mimics are still alive? Cage receives power because the Omega dies, making its death the timeline's baseline. Reverting it erases the transfer. This functions like a server network. The Omega is host, the reset is admin access. Cage resets after the host is deleted. The network stays offline. Cage wakes up on the helicopter holding the keys to a dead network. The invasion is over because the entity that controlled the mimics is gone, and it no longer has the power to undo its own destruction.